give it up to the youth. Loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green when it's through and through. Cause you know we want it, your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Authentic bitch deep with pros in abundance, get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming. Let's give it up to the youth, loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green when it's through and through. Cause you know we want it, your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Authentic bitch deep with pros in abundance, get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming.
What's good, Hurricane fans? Alright, now I want to take time to really just go over some things dealing with the Miami Hurricanes. Actually, just not the Miami Hurricanes, a little bit dealing with the AAU situation. I was watching a couple of videos on YouTube expressing how academics, in which I pretty much was talking about this last year and what makes sense. Matter of fact, the college football season kicked off last year, and I remember profoundly that morning taking my daughter to school where they was talking about how which teams would been in play for the Big 10, SEC, Big 12, and the AAU status. A lot of people kind of poo-poo at the idea that Miami wouldn't even get a seat at the table in the Big 10, which I beg to differ, because Miami always been a pretty great academic school. They're actually private, and that's what the Big 10 holds their hat on, is academics. Now, you know that they had Nebraska, but they took theirs back from Nebraska. But recently now, with all this college realignment, the uncertainty of the ACC, also with the SEC looking to, they scaled back, they took the model from the ACC, having divisions going into, starting next year instead of 9 games. You kind of starting to see the landscape of college football starting to change just enough. Now you have the Big 12 talking about realignment, expanding again. And then you have the Big 10 are looking, because you got to understand the Big 10 just signed this major TV deal with NBC, Fox, and CBS. So when you look at it from that standpoint, and now that the AAU has now accepted Notre Dame, Miami, Arizona, and UCF, that's a major play for these schools. Because if the Big 10 was to send out an invitation to Notre Dame in Miami or UCF, you got to think the Big 10 not only will have a foothold into the Florida region with Miami and UCF, then you look at a lot of kids from Florida will travel to be recruited by Miami, UCF, and potentially say, hey, let's go to Michigan, let's go to Notre Dame, let's go to Ohio State. Now, how would that work with the SEC? Well, you know, the SEC does have Texas and Oklahoma coming over. Now, Florida also, you know, they don't want Miami there because they don't want to have a bidding war with the recruits. But hey, it's what it is. If the SEC was to want them, then there's nothing you could really do about it, unless you plan on jumping ship and leaving the conference. And I don't think you would, because of the money factor. But going back into this is that the AAU universities said they was excited to invite these 6 diverse institutions into the AAU board. Chairman of University of Southern California, President Carol L. Fort, said in a statement, AAU members are distinguished by the quality of their education and research It is the testament of our higher education system that we have this many leading research universities in every corner of our country. Congratulations to the facility staff and students for this recognition of their hard work and their leadership in research and education. We look forward to our joint efforts to continue to transform lives through higher education. Now, with that being said, check this out. While AAU membership isn't often first thing that comes to mind in discussion surrounding conference realignment, both the Big 10 and the Pac-12 have valued memberships in association in the past when adding their respective conference per Sports Illustrated. As of now, 69 AAU member schools in the United States, 13 are currently in the Big 10. Nebraska is the only non-AAU university in the conference, with 2 or more on the way, meaning UCLA and USC. In the Pac-12, meanwhile, Arizona, Cal, Oregon, and Stanford, and Utah and Washington are all members, with Arizona State now gaining entry as well. That's very, very important because it's Arizona and Arizona State. Other notable AAU universities when it comes to college football especially includes North Carolina. They name had brought up of them could be a potential market for the Big 10. Also, if the SEC doesn't try to bring them over there, with like if they say Clemson and Florida State was to jump ship and go over there, but it all depends on the grant of rights and all that stuff with the ACC. So, but that is, then you have Texas, Duke, Texas A&M, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Florida, Pittsburgh, Missouri, and Kansas. And Kansas is in the Big 12. Now you gotta think about it. With all of these, AAUs, leading comprehensive research universities, distinguished. But you gotta also look, because there are some AAU schools that's also in the FBS level too, who are not Power 5, including Tulane, Rice, UCF, and USC, whatever, and Buffalo. So, what did Miami, Notre Dame, Arizona, and UCF have to say about the entry? Well, I look at it like this. For Miami standpoint, this is where I'm going with Miami standpoint. Miami President Julio Frank said our mission, well, I don't know why they got, I don't even know why they got these comments mixed up, because they don't even make sense, because it was talking about Notre Dame. Okay, there you go. Today is a great day for all of us who loves and support the University of Miami. This designation acknowledges the transformation level of activities, outcome in research, graduate, undergrad education, and the other areas that demonstrate compelling performance across the institution. As a group of affiliate institutions with common and complementary characteristics, the AAU offers an invaluable network across higher education and beyond, whether we are looking for innovation or discovery. So, with that being said, this is where I look at the whole situation for college football, especially when it comes to realignment. I said it last year, the beginning of last year, and just before the college football season kicked off. Me personally, I think Miami benefits more into the Big 10. Now they could operate a little bit more into the Big 12 as well, because the Big 12 could invite Miami in and also have a foothold into the Florida region. because Miami does recruit well into the Texas area. If you think about it, Florida's not that far from Texas. I mean, if you're really looking at it, the whole southern region, Miami does recruit pretty well around that area. But if you look at what the Big Ten is trying to do, the Big Ten is trying to have a market on the West Coast, New York, and the southern part. So having the likes of Miami and maybe North Carolina, I think North Carolina will be a team that probably will get, if they was to get an invite from the Big Ten, it would be North Carolina over USF. Southern Florida, rather. I say it like that. Southern Florida. So that's what I think pretty much will how that will lay out. Now I did say that Miami could go back independent, but I think Miami would be better suited to joining. Now Miami did had a hard time when coming from the Big East into the ACC. They haven't really did anything too much, and it kind of hurt them. But now that Mario's there, they're gaining. They putting a team together. Like I said, winning cures everything. Winning is the main thing about everything like that. So, but Miami, to me, I feel like Miami serves better in the Big Ten. And it's because of rivalries. Not saying that Miami doesn't have rivalries with Florida and Florida State. Now, say Miami goes to the Big Ten, Florida goes to the SEC. I'm sure their rivalries will still continue because they will still have them on schedule. Miami also has rivalries with Notre Dame. They have rivalries with Penn State. They have rivalries with Nebraska. I think that's pretty much the three teams that's over there. So, and you think about it. If Miami enters the Big Ten, then that would give them a little bit more money for their TV. Now, we all know that the grant rights or whatever the case may be, but I think with their AAU status, it sets up Miami in a better position in the future. So if they decide to leave the ACC, then we already know that the Big Ten will probably be the first to be calling them. I don't think it much will be the SEC. I think it will be between the Big 12 and the Big 10. But the Big 10 will be beneficial more because you got to think, Miami will get to be on TV, especially if they play Notre Dame. They get to be on NBC. They definitely will be on Fox. They definitely be on CBS. So they will have 3 different networks where you get to see Miami football, not just on ABC or the ACC network. These are the things that could help Miami, especially if this year Miami starts winning and winning consecutive seasons. It's going to be very interesting for the ACC to hold these teams. And I think this revenue sharing model that the ACC has come up with for this division is only going to last a certain amount of time, because there's going to be teams that are going to still feel slighted. There are teams that's still going to be not making the money, and eventually teams like Clemson, Florida State, Miami all want to make more money. Notre Dame is independent. They could float anywhere because they have a big TV deal with NBC. But I think Notre Dame will benefit going to the Big Ten. I always say the Notre Dame could fit in the ACC as well. If you have Miami, North Carolina, and Notre Dame into the Big Ten, with USC, with UCLA, you don't think that conference won't be the strongest conference in college football over the SEC? Because you think about it, SEC will have Texas and Oklahoma, but Texas and Oklahoma will have to win. I think USC and UCLA will have a better shot winning in the Big Ten. You're going to have Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Ohio State over there. Then you got Iowa over there. You know, you're going to have great teams, great matchups, great new rivalries in that conference. I would think the Big Ten will be the best conference over the SEC. Yeah, the SEC is prestigious and big name, but how many teams come from over there? You got Texas A&M that don't look like Texas A&M right now. You got Missouri over there that just very quietly. Then you're gonna have Texas and Oklahoma. Now the Texas thing could work more so because they're gonna have this Texas and Alabama rivalry going on every year. Oklahoma will fit in very nicely, but they're gonna have to change how they play because they definitely need to recruit better. They're gonna have to recruit, and it's all about recruiting because how in the world that you gonna be able to compete with a Georgia, with a Alabama, LSU, Auburn? Man, it's going to be hard for Texas and Oklahoma, but I think they could do it. But I just won't put them as the best conference. I think right now the Big Ten has a slight edge over the SEC. It just they winning percentage when it comes to playoffs and championship is the issue. They're gonna have to win. They're gonna have to put teams out there to do the things. And like I said, if Miami was to start winning now, I think they will get an invitation probably sooner than later. If Miami can have 2 consecutive seasons, say if Miami has a good season this year and a great season next year and get into one of the 12 playoff spots next year, then teams, conference is going to be looking at it and say, hey, we need to grab this team. North Carolina is going to be pretty decent. And they are AAU school. And this is what the Big Ten wants. They want prestige colleges in there, like a Notre Dame, like a Miami, North Carolina. Clemson could. I think Clemson is I think they are AAU. I'm not sure, but Clemson will be better off in the SEC because they're gonna have that. They play Georgia all the time. They play Alabama from time to time, unless it's a playoff. So they will fit. They will make them strong. Florida State will make them strong too. So it's going to be a race to the finish because the thing about it is, after a while, if both of these conferences go to 32 teams, they're not going to need a college playoff anymore. They'll have their own playoff system. They're going to be like the NFL. People are going to decide which conference they're going to want to watch. Now, me as a fan, I'm going to watch all of it, but I'm going to have my own conference that I'm going to pay attention to because especially if my team, the Hurricanes, is in that conference, I'm going to pay attention more to that conference. You know what I'm saying? To the other conference. I'm going to pay attention, but I'm going to specifically pay attention to my team. So I think this move is good to have for Miami to get the AAU status because now it's going to push them into another realm to where now other conference can look at them and say, hey, they AAU status. We can invite them over here because of the inability of what they are as a school. Not just football, not just in basketball, but academically. That's the main key. Academically, because as long as your school holds a high academics, then you won't lose AAU status. In Miami, like I said, they private school and they have a high academic standard. Now, also, I did want to touch on, for instance, the Big 12 looking to grab UConn, and I do believe they said UConn and I had a team on the top of my head. Gonzaga. That's for basketball purposes. Because Gonzaga don't have football, but UConn does. But you got to think, UConn just won a national championship, you got to think how these conferences are going to bowl with not just football, but basketball. Big 12, Gonzaga and UConn would make the Big 12 pretty strong in basketball, having them down there. Now, Arizona, if Arizona want to join, and it looks like the Big 12 been trying to get Arizona and Arizona State. Now, Arizona and Arizona State are now AAU too, but I don't see the Big 10 wanting Arizona or Arizona State. I think when it comes down to it, Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame, Miami, I put North Carolina in that mix. I think them 5 schools, because I said Oregon, Washington, North Carolina, Miami, Notre Dame. Those 5 schools, I believe, will end up in the Big 10. I believe they will. I believe they will end up in the Big 10 eventually. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see what everybody else go from that point. I predict Virginia Tech, Florida State, Clemson. I don't see North Carolina going to the SEC unless there's a rivalry with South Carolina. I don't see that happening. Louisville could be a team that goes to the Big 12. NC State could go over there to the SEC, so that could be my 4 to go over there. So it's, like I said, it's good for Miami now because when the time comes, they already know they would automatically get a bid. The Big 10 will actually call Miami to be in their conference because of the AAU status. I don't think Miami would have gotten there if they didn't have that AAU status. I think they would have still been the odd man out. But I do believe the Big 12 probably would have brought them in. So let me know what you think about Notre Dame, Miami achieving AAU status. How does this affect Miami going forward in the future of the with the current realignment landscape of college football? Do you see any dissolve into the grant of rights? Hopefully this could get worked out in the next couple of years. A lot of these teams, because I don't, like I said, that the eight division model that they brought together for revenue share purposes, I don't see that lasting any longer. I do believe that at the end of the day, these teams are going to find a way to get out of that grant of rights, whether they have to pay a penalty or not. I do believe to see that coming because these teams wants to make more money. They want to have equal revenue sharing, and right now the teams that's in the ACC is really behind the other group. So let me know your thoughts. Continue to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until then, this your boy. I'm out.